Sweet Home 2, What We Can Expect in the Next Season. Netflix's 2020 apocalyptic horror drama Sweet Home achieved huge success by entering the top 10 on the platform in most countries and managed to get approval not only for the second season but also for the third, which is currently being filmed. The residents of Green Home have faced their fair share of trials and tribulations in season 1, but their fight for survival is far from over. Get ready to be swept away by the heart-pounding continuation of Sweet Home, where the stakes are higher and emotions run deeper. So you better buckle up, because this breathtaking story is yet to be finished. Before talking about what might await us in the upcoming season, let's refresh our memories. Sweet Home stars Netflix's boy, Sung Kang. Also another rising star of recent years, Lee Do-hyun. Not to mention veteran actors, Lee Si-young and Lee Jin-wook. Season 1 depicts a dystopian world in which an infectious disease turns people into monsters, and they are lurking from everywhere. Before all the chaos started, high schooler Cha Hyun-soo became depressed after experiencing a family tragedy and later moved into an apartment named Green Home. But then the world we normally know was turned upside down. He and other residents are trapped inside the apartment, but they have the hope of surviving as long as they can. Along the way, they go through a lot, from being tested with their trust in each other and their humanity, to meeting a group of people who have no morality confronting them. Cha Hyun-soo gets infected and becomes kind of an immortal, ironically. However, by a twist of fate, he has a reason to live now to protect his loved ones. While season 1 approaches its end, Hyun-soo chooses to hand himself over to the army, while the residents who survived are trying to get out of the apartment without falling into the hands of the army. We came to the exact time when the very first scene of the series is actually happening. Where Hyun-soo keeps walking in the snow toward the army despite being shot by them. On the other hand, Eun-hyuk, who became the brain of the whole group throughout the series, remains in the collapsing building, which is probably because he got infected too. And let's not forget Pyong Sung-wook, who stayed outside while trying to take Park Yuri to treatment. When the residents finally get out of the building, they run into the soldiers. The soldier who made a deal with Seo Yi-kyung says that even though she isn't the one who sent the signal to them, their deal isn't over yet.
거래는 아직 끝나지 않았습니다.
When the residents get in a cart led by soldiers, Yi-kyung shows up in a soldier uniform and says to them,
꼭 살아남아요.
as if she means that being with the army doesn't mean that they're totally safe. And finally, we get back to Hyun-soo. What has happened to him while he's continuously being shot by the soldiers? Well, he opens his eyes in an armored truck. Surprisingly, Sung-wook is in the driver's seat and says to him,
오랜만이야?
with a cunning smile on his face. So coming back to what the upcoming season gives us, let's start with Eun-hyuk. The brainiac medical student didn't follow the other survivors and stayed in the apartment as tears were dripping down his face, soon after mixed with blood. And Eun-hyuk looked at a family photograph. While the whole building began collapsing, we assumed that he got infected, and because of wanting to die as a human, he made that decision. When season 1 ended, everyone actually hoped that he would come back transformed into a monster, like Hyun-soo, and doesn't harm other people. But when the cast of the upcoming 2 seasons was announced, this dream fell into the water. Lee Do-hyun, who didn't appear in the main poster of season 1, perhaps signaling that he would die at the end. What about survivors? Among them there are 2 main characters, Eun-yu and Yoon Ji-soo. We could predict all survivors will be in the hands of the army. They'll probably go through a series of tests in case one of them could be infected and have a quarantine period. But whether it would be limited only to these or unexpected things would come up. We'll need to check out the season by looking at one of the released stills in which Eun-yu seems to get rid of the army. It's safe to say that the survivors might not obey easily and probably will find their own way either to survive or to meet their loved ones again. On the other hand, Yi-kyung, who thought she had lost her fiancé in a fire and later learned that she is pregnant, likely will play a more important role than in season 1 in the dynamics of the upcoming season. She had found herself in a moral dilemma in which she would either think only of her family or the residents. Although she hadn't betrayed the residents, eventually she had to join the army, and it's very possible that she'll encounter such a dilemma again. Her fiancé, Sung-woon, turned out to be the one who first revealed the disease on the internet. He may have not died in the fire, but could have been detained by the military, either because he was the one who began this infectious disease and probably the one who could find a cure. Or another theory, he could be one of the infected, who can resist turning into a total monster. On top of that, the mysterious gray bag, which kind of traveled in the hands of many people, starting from Eun-myung, now belongs to the army. Whether that bag carries important files for the cure perhaps, or another vital thing. We'll learn more about it as well after watching. Coming to the most curious subject, Sung-wook and Hyun-soo as a duo. At the end of season 1, Hyun-soo fought with Eun-myung, who told him that monsters and people can't coexist.
어차피 인간과 우린 공존할 수가 없어.
And tried to persuade him to join his world domination plans. To prevent him from hurting more residents, he turned into his monster version and killed Eun-myung. Or so we thought at first, but Eun-myung's sludge monster managed to escape. After the fight, stopped by Dushik, Hyun-soo returns to his human self, but with memory loss. Deciding to hand himself over to the army after what happened, Hyun-soo opened his eyes inside the armored truck. Seeing Sung-wook, who no longer has a burn mark on his face. In the front led us to think that Eun-myung now possessed his body. Therefore, Sung-wook's scar totally healed, with Eun-myung's incredibly fast regeneration skill, and he's kidnapped the memory-lost Hyun-soo to use him in his plans. In another release still, Sung-wook and Hyun-soo were spotted together in a new place we haven't seen before. It's highly possible that the memory-lost Hyun-soo would trust Sung-wook and maybe team up with him. But if this is the case, what really happened to Sung-wook? Was he brutally killed by Eun-myung? Or even though if his body was possessed, does Sung-wook coexist in his own body with Eun-myung? If so, we can expect an inner fight and conflict between these two. And we hope that Eun-myung can finally be defeated. On the other hand, when looking into the unofficial leaked images in which new cast, Jung Jin-young and Song Kang were seen, Hyun-soo seems to meet the army in some way. He might come into the army's possession as a subject of the experiments, maybe for the cure, or perhaps he will confront them with the guidance of Sung-wook, who is now presumably Eun-myung. Although several impressive characters who were loved by viewers, such as Yuri, Dushik, and Jaehoon, have lost their lives along the way, the upcoming season has a star-studded cast lineup to make up for their absence. In the upcoming season, Yoo-sung will play the leader of the Special Forces Guard, Oh Jung-se, a researcher of vaccines, and Jung Jin-young as a soldier in the Special Forces Guard. Also popular actress Kim Shin-ruk from Reborn Rich and actor Kim Woo-yeol will attend the cast. With all these new faces, it seems Sweet Home 2 will deliver us more edge-of-your-seat thrills, not to mention action-packed scenes and an unpredictable plot. Get ready to take your seats because it will air in the 4th quarter of this year. And that's our recap and prediction theories for Sweet Home Season 2. We can't wait to see what's in store for the residents of Green Home. You can let us know your own predictions in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.